Welcome to Custom Bookbinding. We're www.bookbind.net on the web. I just want to show you a few things. Sometimes people ask, what is the difference in quality and binding? Well, you see a Bible. Here's one of our finished products. It's a New World Translation with a nice leather cover. And so you may look at this and wonder, well, what's the difference? There's other places that do binding. Some may be a lot more expensive. Some may be less expensive. In fact, maybe quite a bit more. So you wonder, well, what is the difference? Well, I'd like to show you the differences in binding and what can be done, at what corners people cut. And I'd like to show you what we do so you have an idea. First of all, in the binding of the book, after the books are put together, you have a mesh that's put onto the back. And so if you've ever been on a tour out of Bethel, you'll see that that's how they put that mesh on the back. Now, there's a lot of different types. Some companies that we've run across don't use any mesh at all. And what will happen is when this book falls, if it drops on the ground, the whole book will break apart, and so it just doesn't last. Oftentimes what will happen is when the book, this mesh is actually glued down to the book, so you have it like this. And so this is the hinge part of the book that bends with the cover. It's glued into the book. Now what will happen in time is that this can actually break right in here. And what will break then is this back spine. So what you want is a good strong spine on here, a good mesh. And what we use is this right here, this mesh. You see the ribs in it, it gives a lot of strength to it, and a lot of durability. What a lot of companies use as popular is this, and it's a little bit cheaper and it's not the same strength as this. But then what some companies will do to save money is they'll use, this is actually glued to a cardboard stock because it's so thin. But as you can see, if you can see that in there, it's a very fine grade of mesh that actually it won't last very long at all. So it doesn't really do a very good job to it. I don't know if you can really even see it in there. But at any rate, what it is it's like this, only with a lot less fibers in it. So this mesh right here will really hold up, and so your Bible will last a lot longer. Also, what we do in our books, if you notice when I was showing you this first one here, is we use a black end sheet material, which is a very durable material that will last a long time. We still save the maps on the inside, but the map material is made out of paper, and that's why we don't use it as the end sheet. If you use it as the end sheet, of course, in time, paper can rip and tear. This is actually a material that's in here that will be a lot more durable for your end sheet, and that's why we use that in your books. And so that kind of shows a little bit how on the insides of the book that you can actually make it last a little bit longer by adding just a few more steps. Costs us a little bit more money in the long run to use that, but will make a longer book, lasting book for you. Also, then in the construction of the Bibles is the leather. And so first of all, we're going to show you just a little bit about leather. We call a #1 grade, top grain cowhide. And what that means is this is the top layer of the leather of the cow. And also what we want is a drum dyed material. So drum dyed leather, which means that when this is dyed, it's in the drum altogether. So the back side, this blue, for example, is going to go all the way through. And you'll see that in every one of our covers, you'll see that it's the back side of that leather is the same color as the front all the way through. And so that's important, because what can happen, let's say you're in a parking lot somewhere, or you're out in the ministry and you drop your Bible, and let's say you scratch it or you mar it. Well, what's going to come through is the black of this all the way through, and that's important. And being also that it's top grain means that it's actually the top grain of the leather. So it's what some companies do to make the leather cheaper is they'll buy a split, and then they'll roll an imitation pattern of leather on it. So It's not the top grain, but it looks like it, and it looks nice and clean because it's an imitation pattern. It's not the original top grain of the leather. So when we buy our hides, we actually get the full hide of the leather of the cow, and it'll actually have the brand marks on it that we have to cut around, so you don't get a brand mark on the front of your cover of your Bible. Now, just to kind of show you the difference, this is what is called bonded leather. This is not what we use, but you see the bonded leather. It looks nice. There's a pattern rolled onto it, and there's some fibers of leather, and that's what it means by bonded leather. It's almost like particle board. So particle board is real wood, but it's just particles of wood that are all kind of glued together, and that's the same with this. Now, if you look at this, now this is bonded leather. Watch me rip it. See how easy that is? It's like paper. So when they say bonded, it's very, just a couple of fibers of leather. It's not, it maybe look nice, but it's not going to last a long time. This leather I can't rip. See, like that, I can't rip that at all. That's real leather. Another difference too, let me show you this. This leather here is not a leather that we use, but this leather is not done all the way through. You can see that it's actually white on the back side of the leather. So this is just a finish on the top. It's a sprayed finish. It's not going to last. So it looks nice to begin with. Typically a Bible like this, if it's made out of this kind of leather, may last maybe 6 months to a year, and then it will start to wear off, and it will, if it gets scratched, that finish will come off relatively easily. So that's why custom bookbinding, we don't do that. Another thing, in the process of making the book is first of all, there's a material that this leather is glued to, and we call this is a material, it's like a peach material here. And in this material, this is a flexible material. Even though it's a cardboard, it's a flexible material that's made. Now, what a lot of companies do, I'll show you, this is a book cover that we tore off another book from another company that somebody sent in to have it repaired. You see, it's a very cheap cardboard material, kind of like what you maybe get in a cereal box, and that's what some places actually get their materials to build their covers, is cereal boxes. In fact, we'll even see that sometimes when we tear a cover apart. But this is a very cheap material. You can see that it may flex somewhat, but it will actually then put a crease in the front. You see when that flexed? Now you see this crease down the front of this cover. Also, this particular cover from this company, I don't even know the company, but it's a bonded leather, so it's not a very strong material. In fact, you can see that when we took the book apart, it just literally ripped. So it's not something that's really going to last a long time. So again, you could probably make it relatively inexpensive. Also, the material, it may look nice for a while, but it's just not going to stand up. Now, this flex material, since we've been in the business for some time, we've come to realize how important this is. And so what we've actually done is, we can't buy this on the market. It's not offered. So we went to a paper manufacturing company and had to order a large supply that they actually made especially for custom bookbinding. So this is something that's a nice quality paper that we offer to our customers. Again, it adds more cost to it, but in the long run, we really feel that this is going to add to the quality of a book that we offer you. So as you can see, this is the back of the book that we have done. This is the cover that it's glued to, but it adds a nice flexibility to the book, and yes, it adds a little bit of body to it as well. So there's some important things to look at when looking at covers, looking at leather, looking at how things are bound. So as you can see in our books, that's something that's really going to help as well to make it stand up. One more thing I wanted to point out to you too is the gilding process. The gilding is on the edge of the books. As you can see, it's a nice shiny product. Again, there are things to take shortcuts on to make gilding a whole lot cheaper. What some companies do is they do a sprayed on finish. What we do in our gilding process, we do all our gilding here in-house, And we have a special process where we actually put a sizing on before we put the gold. There are many companies that don't do that. There are machinery that will not put that sizing on. The sizing actually helps the gold to adhere to the book. It makes it last a lot longer. If they don't use that sizing material, the gold will fail. It will flake off relatively soon. In fact, some companies, we actually tried them to see if they would work, and it looked nice till it got to the customer, and then it just would flake off. So we're not going to do that to our customers. We want to do a good quality job, and so that's why we offer this at the price on the gilding. And that's why the gilding is a little bit more expensive too, because to add that extra step does add to the quality. So at any rate, you can see that there's a lot that goes into a book. Sometimes you say you judge a book by its cover, but you can see there's a lot that goes in on the inside that you need to realize as well. So again, we thank you very much for your attention.